If this podcast gets like 10 million likes, I will donate 1 million cubes to school. Yo, good morning, guys. Well, Jesse, have you ever done a podcast before?
Yes.
When?
Yesterday.
Yeah, we did a podcast yesterday. We were talking for like 1.5 hours, and then at the end, when we tried to like import everything, my computer crashed, so we kind of lost the audio footage. I would say though, we're experienced podcasters right now. This podcast will just be better. So yeah, today we're just gonna talk about content creation, especially in the cubing community, right?
Yes.
Because like I'm here in New York. This is actually my last day here. I'm actually leaving right after the podcast back to Belgium. Sad. Are you gonna miss me, Jesse?
Yeah. You're a fun person to have around.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, we had a lot of fun here, and you know, it doesn't happen often that I'm actually with someone that has a lot of experience in the cubing community as a content creator, because we're actually like one of the few people out there that actually have a huge channel about cubing, right? I don't think there's that many. Maybe we should like quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Milan, better known as CubeHead. I've been making videos primarily about cubing for 3 years, and I'm blessed to have been doing this as a job for the last 2 years.
I'm Jesse, JRCuber, if you guys don't know, which is very possible now because I haven't made videos in like a year.
But you do still make content creation about cubing though, because
Yes.
I think it's important to mention that you make videos for the cubicle right now.
Yeah, I'm not completely dead. I'm not gone off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
I still make content. I'm just not in the videos as much anymore, but I still edit them and produce a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You were like most active 2017?
Yeah, I would say that was when I had like peak growth in 2017 and 2018. Like that was really good time, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because like we both have had huge success on YouTube, but both like from a different, almost like generation, I would say, because
Yes.
like content has changed so much.
Yeah.
How did you experience like content changing over the years? Because when you were like peaking at, let's say 2017 or something like that, you were just how old? 16?
In 2017, yeah, I was 15, turning 16.
It's like crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I started when I was like 9. Well, I started cubing when
man.
I was 9. I started my channel when I was 10. So when I started, it was very kind of simple concepts. It was basically just unbox the cube, talk about the cube, review the cube, maybe some tutorials here and there. There were some channels that focused more on tutorials, but for me, that's pretty much all it was. And that was like a lot of what the content was. And now it's shifted very heavily towards like much more planned videos with bigger ideas and concepts that are not as easy to execute in just like one day or like one recording session. Like it's more of a big project.
I would say what I noticed that a lot of the content is aiming more towards like the entertainment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like videos are actually like really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I think it definitely like the earlier content creators, like obviously their personality was a big part of their success, but a lot of it was also just about the cubes. Like people came back because they wanted information about new puzzles and stuff, and it was more like informative content and as less like entertainment. And so you kind of are using the cubes to like carry your channel pretty much. But now I think people are more so coming back for the person, regardless of what cube they're talking about or like what exactly the video is about.
I think a big reason for that is that more people are actually creating content right now. And if you're talking about the same stuff, people are generally like more aiming towards the person that is just like the most enjoyable to watch.
Yes.
I think like you can kind of call it like even competition, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, the higher competition kind of ends up leading to more entertaining videos, I think. Because if people are starting to focus on the entertainment more, then other people are realizing I need to also do this if I want to get the same type of audience or the same level of audience.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I noticed that a lot from my own experience. You probably yourself as well. Is like especially when my channel wasn't as successful yet, I was like barely getting any views. Like it's easy to start comparing like what other people are doing, like even draw inspiration or like even a lot of frustration because like a lot of channels are getting a ton of views. You feel like you're not getting enough views and you still have like better, like you're creating better and better videos. But like in a way it kind of like pushes us, right?
Yeah.
Like if you see what is out there, like if I see a Thingman video, I'm like, dude, that guy is so good at creating videos. I have to up my game.
Yeah.
You know? I think it all like it pushes all of us
Yeah.
into it because like in a way we're competitors because like we're all competing for people's attention.
Yeah.
But in a way we're still friends, and I think we can also like appreciate the fact that we do push each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think like a lot of people don't know what it really is like to be a YouTuber. They wouldn't have an idea, obviously, because like they see the videos we create, they think what they see is what is happening, and it's like, oh, you have like this video that's been worked on for like 20 hours, and they think, oh, it's like a 6-minute video, probably takes 7 minutes to make, right?
Yeah, even videos that seem simpler, you would think would just be really easy. Like, oh, I could, if I wanted to, I could make that in like a few hours, until you actually do it. And it is like so much more effort involved in like getting everything set up properly and presenting yourself well on camera, and how long it takes to be good at that, and like be able to script a video well or plan a video well. Like, these are all things that are kind of happen behind the scenes that, you know, in the end you end up with this very polished video that seems effortless, but it only seems effortless because of how much effort was put into it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a paradox, right?
Yeah.
Like the more effort you put into a video, the less edited it looks like, because you kind of want to make everything seem like supernatural, like everything flows together. Like you want to watch something, don't really think about like the editing, just like it just happens.
It just flows, because that's the goal of editing too, is to be not noticeable, right? If you notice an edit, it's a bad edit. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's intentional. There's obviously, you can bend the rules, but generally speaking, like, you want the editing to be pretty seamless. And you watch a 10-minute video, you don't think this took 4 hours to record. A lot of times it does, you know? You end up with a ton of footage that you then have to cut down. And editing is almost always the longest part of the process. Pretty much,
Especially if you have recorded for 4 hours, getting that to 10 minutes is just like such a mess.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons that my channel has had quite a success it has right now, is because I always focused a lot on like the editing. Not necessarily only that, also about like putting personality into like the content, but it's like, I think like editing is like an extra layer of personality on top of your content. Not only that, but it's just like about the storytelling, the flow of everything, how everything fits together and all that stuff. It all happens in the editing, and it's just so much work that people don't know about it. Like, I wouldn't know it either, because it's so funny, because I would have like hours of footage on my computer and be like, okay, yeah, I'll edit everything in like 2 hours, no biggie. And then you start doing it and it just takes like 2 days, you know?
I always like underestimate how long stuff takes to edit, you know what I mean?
And you don't learn from that, right? Yeah. It's like,
we were talking about this yesterday. Like, you were like, yeah, I've been doing this a couple years and I still underestimate it. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years. I still underestimate it. Like, I still tell myself, like, I shoot something, and in my head, like, because you're kind of already editing it in your head. You know what I mean, when you're shooting it. Yeah. So in my head, it's like I kind of already have the edit together, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna be really easy. Like, I can do this in like a day, and then 2 days later, you are nowhere near done.
That isn't just editing; it's just like the entire project, right? Because I will be like, oh wait, it's late in the week, I still need to upload a video. It'll take 2 days. I'll be fine. I'll just work a bit harder, and then you're just like so stressed out because you haven't slept and you need to finish the video. Especially if you have recorded for 4 hours, getting that to 10 minutes is just like such a mess.
I think like the sign of that you're getting better at editing is that you start leaving more stuff out instead of including everything. You know what I mean? Like, you get more selective with what you include.
Yeah, if you start out like editing videos, usually you just think everything is relevant.
Yeah,
I definitely noticed that in my earlier videos, where I was like, oh, something happens, wait, I need to have that in the video. But it's like, the better you get at creating videos, the more experience you gain. It's like, you should probably like leave out a lot more than you would think. I think like a rule that I have is like, if I'm questioning whether something should be in or out, I'm just gonna leave it out.
Yeah. If you're on the fence, you always want to take it out.
Yeah. Something we also should talk about is like creating the thumbnail and thinking about the title and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is very, very important. Most people have realized that it is extremely important, but I think for many years there was like almost no thought given to it at all.
Yeah, I think, and the reason for that is because we have an oversaturated market of content, right?
Yes.
We have so much content, and if you don't stand out, or if you give no reason of why someone should spend like 10 minutes watching your content, they're not gonna do it. And I think like a thumbnail and a title, because I see those two as one whole. The title should like complement the thumbnail, and the other way around. How I would describe it is that a video only has like so much potential, right? You can make like a really good video with a lot of potential, or you can have like a really bad video that just doesn't have any potential, and anything in between, obviously. And I see like the thumbnail and title as like the door opening to that potential.
Yes.
And I think like the better the thumbnail and title is, the more reach that potential has. Like the higher the chances of your video actually getting that potential. But it goes in both ways. So you can have like a bad video with an awesome title and thumbnail that a lot of people want to watch. But once they watch the video, they're like, oh wait, this is so bad, I'm just going away. Then the video won't get any views. But if it's the other way around, you can have like the perfect video. But if the thumbnail and title just are bad and no one is clicking on your video, you're not gonna get any views. I kind of see it that way because a lot of people do get the idea of thumbnail and title totally wrong. I have a lot of people that ask me, wait, is my thumbnail and title good? It's always about the thumbnail or the title.
Yeah.
And in reality, you should like focus more on the content you create.
Yes, I think like the actual idea of the video itself is like paramount. Above the title and thumbnail, above everything, like you have to have a good idea.
Yeah, you cannot make a good thumbnail and title that attracts people if the idea is bad.
Because if the video is bad and then you have a really good title and thumbnail, at that point it's basically clickbait. You know what I mean? Yeah, which does happen a lot. But I think like right now it's less effective than it used to be. Yeah, I think people are better at kind of seeing through it. But it really should be an accurate representation of what the content is. You just need to make it catchy. You need to do it in a way that draws people in, but doesn't mislead them. You know what I mean? And so the best way to do that is to have a really good video, because then you can easily make a really good thumbnail and title. Like if you have a video idea in mind and you can't come up with a really good title for that video and a solid idea of what the thumbnail is gonna be, it's probably not a great idea.
No, exactly. The main focus is to create a great video. The way you make a great video is to have an awesome idea. So I think it all stems back to like starting with a great idea. Yeah. And something you said yesterday that was like, I thought was really interesting and I'm definitely going to implement myself, is that you should probably start thinking or like even making your thumbnail and title before you make the video. Yeah. Because like it is important. Like you can have a really awesome video, but if you're stuck at the end, like, wait, how am I going to make a thumbnail and title for this? You kind of wasted some time there. Yeah, it shouldn't be an afterthought. This is something that it's like, I'm giving you this advice, but I also still do this, you know? Yeah. Like you finish the video, you export it, and then you go through the video and try and find a good frame. You export that frame, and then you edit it a little bit, add some text, and there's your thumbnail. Like I still do that pretty often, but it's not ideal. Like ideally, if you have like a really solid idea for a video, you should already have in mind like what the thumbnail is going to be, and in the most ideal scenario, you would make it first. Like you would just have that set, and then from there you kind of go forward from there. It's something that you should really do, is like think about like what you're gonna create. Yeah. Because I definitely have made some videos that at the end I realized I spent so much time on that it's probably not worth it. And it's like if you start out with the first step of actually like thinking about, is it worth it? Is this a good idea? Am I happy with? Can I envision what the end result will be like, and is it something that I would watch myself? I think like that's the first step, and that's usually how a project starts, right? Yeah, it's very important to have like a pretty good idea of what the video is going to look like at the end, and obviously like don't hold yourself to that super strictly. No, like exactly. You want to allow things to change and evolve naturally, but you want to go into it with a general idea of what the end product is going to look like. That's pretty important. You should at least see the potential in your idea. I think because you should be open-minded and anything can happen, because like I've definitely had videos that the end result was totally different than what I had visioned in the beginning, but in a good way. Yeah. You know? Yeah, we can definitely talk a bit about like the influence that people have on your content and how it's okay to actually take inspiration from other people. Yeah. Because that's the thing, is everyone takes inspiration from everyone else. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about this too with like coming up with ideas as well, is like don't focus too hard on having the most original idea, because just because something is original doesn't make it good. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's original because it's such a bad idea that no one's done it. You know what I mean? I think you should more so focus on like iterating on what other people have done and putting your own twist on it. Yeah, there's a difference between like taking inspiration and like totally copying someone. I think like I've seen a lot of small channels, like small cubing channels right now, that definitely take inspiration from me, but I don't see that as a bad thing. I just kind of like, I see that as a compliment. I'm like kind of like honored that people take inspiration from me. And it's also like we already live in a niche, and I think it's like kind of important to emphasize that we already all talk about cubes. No one is able to like create videos constantly that no one has ever done before. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So whenever I make a video and someone comments like, oh wait, JPerm already did that, I'm just like, dude, of course someone has done it. Like I make videos about cubes. What do you expect me to do?
Sometimes people can genuinely just have similar ideas at around the same time. That happens a lot. I just have a funny story about this. When I was like really young, I had an idea for a video and I thought it was like super original and creative and cool and everything. And the exact day that I filmed that video, Laser Monkey posted a video that was like basically the exact same concept.
What was the concept?
It was like the cubed series I did was just like an average with question and answer stuff, like talking about cubing news, like going over world records and new releases, and just kind of like a summary of stuff that's happening in the community lately. And like I had this idea, and then the same day that I shot the first episode of it, he posted a video with like the same idea.
Also like the first
and literally
episode.
like and I was like 11 at the time. I cried. I was just looking back on it, I definitely wish I started a bit later, but there's no way I would have been able to convince myself back then to wait. I had already waited like what felt like forever, because I wanted to start a channel basically as soon as I got into cubing. Like within the first like couple months, I had started watching other channels, and immediately I was like, I want to make videos. Like I want to do this stuff too. Like this is so cool. I love this. But like at that point, I had to beg my mom for a YouTube channel for like months and months and months before it finally happened, and that felt like forever, you know, as like a 9-year-old.
And I think like you being a YouTuber is still like a dream job for like most of the people. I think like especially the children, because like I was talking to a teacher before, and they ask now and then like to the children like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most of them just say, I want to be a YouTuber.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've heard that too, but it still is like blows my mind. Because it's so different to how it used to be.
If you think about it, it kind of is a dream job, because like you get to do whatever you want to do creatively.
There's a flip side to it though. Like if you know, you can get a lot of ridicule as well. Like and that can be pretty damaging, especially if you're younger and you don't know how to like process all of that. You know, like when you go on the internet, you're just kind of getting like the whole world like blasted at you, man. You know what I mean? And that can be like impossible to process, especially as a kid. So it can be dangerous. And like now looking back on it, appreciate like what my parents did to help me with that, and like kind of keep me a little more sheltered from it. You know, because I was like really wanted to just go all in on it as a kid. But they were telling me like, this is not a good idea, and I didn't want to listen when I was younger, but I realize now why, like how important that is.
And it's kind of funny because like as you said, like I started my channel when I was 21. You started when you were more than 10 years younger. And it's like even I, as a 21-year-old, had some emotional response to stuff that was to the feedback I was getting in the beginning, because we're all like social creatures and we really want to be socially accepted. And some people may say like, I don't care what people say or think, but they're just lying, or they're like psychopaths, because you naturally respond to negativity or like positivity from other people. You want to be accepted, and like putting yourself out, talking to a camera, which is so weird, especially when no one is watching. Just like looking at the camera and just talking is it's ridiculous. Like if I think about like seeing if I look at myself from a third eye's perspective, like me recording my first video, it's such a weird idea. Like what is that guy doing? No one is watching him yet. He doesn't even have a channel. He's solving a cube for 20 hours straight. Do you know, like my first video idea? It's so weird. And after that, I spent like a week editing that. I uploaded it, no one's watching that. And that's such a weird thing to do, especially like talking to yourself, no one's watching. Like right now, at least when we create something, we know someone is gonna be watching this podcast now. We know when you create something, people are actually have an interest in the cubes you're reviewing, or when I make some entertainment, I know people are actually gonna watch it, which makes it a bit more natural to talk to a camera.
Yeah, at the same time, there's more pressure, you know what I mean? Especially if you kind of already have a persona that you've built up online. It's like, this is how you are as an online personality. There's then this kind of pressure to just live up to that standard, you know what I mean?
When you have like a down moment, right? Like everyone has those. you cannot really create content, and that's the times when you really realize that you can't really be 100% yourself on camera. Because I've had times where I wasn't able to be consistent, because you know, if I'm not in the mood, I'm not gonna record videos. I cannot fake being happy and active.
Yeah, because it comes through. People can notice, like, when
they
you're
notice.
Yeah, I've gotten comments like that where like I've been like depressed before, and then I make videos and people are like, "Are you okay, man? Like, you seem really sad."
Really?
And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I kind of."
Man,
yeah.
I usually if I usually don't have those kind of comments, because usually I am pretty open about it. Like if I don't upload, because as I said, I'm not recording when I don't feel well. But I have moments where I'm like, really, I record something, and while I'm recording, I really think, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I really don't enjoy this. I think the way that I deal with that is just be honest. It comes to like the always present idea that people expect you to be something, that people expect you to be happy or upload, excited. And honestly, I think I'm starting to learn that's not really the case, because I've opened myself up like a couple of times to YouTube, like just being honest that I have something that I'm dealing with. A big example of that is I did like an eye surgery not so long ago, which was really stressing me out for a long time, because I have like an eye disease that is something that might not ever go away. I had to do like surgery for that, which is not gonna help me at all. It might prevent my condition to get worse, but it might actually do nothing. So I was really dealing with that for like weeks, which actually led to me not uploading for some time. And I put like those emotions into like a video, and I really talked about openly about like what was happening and how scary it is. And that video got millions of views right now. It's one of my most best performing videos, which is such a awesome thing to see, because the comments I'm getting on that video are the most. I've never had so many comments of people like opening up about what they're going through, or like just like encouraging me or like respecting me for it. And that was like really showed me that if you open up, I think a lot of people will actually start welcoming you and actually like realize, wait, we're all just human. And I think like a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers especially, like are too scared to show that to their audience, that we're still just human. And I think like, for me, I try to create a habit that, you know, I might not be always super consistent, but if I'm not, I might just tell them what's happening. They don't need to know the details, because it's none of their business, but they might at least know, you know, guys, I'm just not feeling it.
I think the bottom line here is just be genuine. You know what I mean? Like, don't try and, well, obviously you can hide, you don't have to say everything to your audience, but the idea is like, yeah, just you want to not put on like a fake persona as much as possible. You want to, you know, do the best you can to be honest with yourself and be honest with your audience. You know what I mean? As like what's going on, like how you're feeling. Well, it's tricky, because if you get to a point of success with YouTube, then it kind of becomes your job, and at that point there can be a lot of pressure. It's like, okay, well, I'm really not feeling well. Like my mental health isn't great, but I still need to make money, and like this is my source of income, so I have to put on the persona. I have to fake it.
Is this loop, right? It's like you don't feel like uploading, so you don't, but you actually need to, because you're like reliant on like your income and all of the audience's support, which creates pressure, which just makes you feel even worse. And it's just like something that just like
it can be a really negative loop that can lead to burnout very quickly. Yeah, and that's happened to me like multiple times.
So, but alright, so we've talked a lot about like our experiences as a YouTuber, but I think right now we should talk a bit about like other people, you know, that people are starting their channel and that actually want to know what we think the cubing community will look like, or especially the content about the cubing community in the coming years, what we think will happen, what they should focus on, what they can expect and stuff like that. And as I said before, like ideas is really like crucial whenever you create content. It's like, let's start about that. Like, let's start about like coming up with ideas.
I'm honestly like don't feel like I'm that good at it. I feel like because like most of my content has just been unbox a cube, talk about the cube. Like that, I never really struggled to come up with ideas, because the idea was like, oh, a new cube came out, I'll make a video about it. or like, oh, I'm gonna make a big unboxing of a bunch of cubes or something.
Yeah, and that's how YouTube really changed, right?
Yeah.
I think nowadays you just see less of that.
Yeah.
I think, like, you know, what the funny thing is though, that whenever I mention to people that I have a YouTube channel about Rubik's cubes, the first thing they ask is obviously how many subscribers do you have, which is, that's just the life of a YouTuber, I suppose. But it's also like the second thing they ask is like, wait, you have a full channel about Rubik's cubes? Like, don't you struggle coming up with ideas? And the funny thing is, I mentioned that before, but I have so many ideas. I've never had a single moment in the 3 years I'm doing YouTube where I didn't have an idea for a video.
That's awesome.
The problem is that I just have like too many things that I can do.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, yeah, that I want to try. I want to do more than I'm actually able to. I think that's a problem. So,
and sometimes the ideas can just be like so grand and big that it's like, okay, well, this would be a cool idea if I had like Mr. Beast levels of funding. You know what I mean? But you can't really do it. It's not really feasible. So I think you got to find that sweet spot of like an interesting idea that's also like something you can actually do. Like, that's actually doable.
Yeah, and that's like, once again, like the importance of like thinking about the ideas. But the way they usually come up to me is really like looking around what is happening and drawing inspiration from that, because some things just work. Some of the YouTubers you might follow, you just know that, oh, maybe I can just give this like a cubing twist, maybe do something with cubes here. But as I said, there's new releases, there's stuff happening. Sometimes it just makes sense to talk about stuff and do something with that.
I think it's also important to kind of like generate a lot of your ideas based around like your personality too. Like, you don't want to do something that's like wildly out there that doesn't really match with the type of content you're doing. I mean, it's good to experiment, obviously, but like, I think it's good to just try and generate more ideas outside of like, oh, I'm just gonna talk about this cube, you know, because that just is super repetitive. I think
right now it's important that you might have an idea, like an idea comes that, oh, there's this new cube, I'm gonna make a video about that. That's a starting point. But then again, you have to put like an extra layer on top of that. Like,
add some kind of twist to it if you can, like some kind of challenge you're gonna do.
You want to think about like the storytelling. You want to think about, wait, there has to be a reason for people that are watching to watch until the end, to watch the full video. Because if you're just gonna start, okay, this is the new cube, this is what it looks like, I think this, let's just go in more detail, it's like, people already know.
Yeah, people are gonna click off pretty fast.
But you have to give a twist. It's like, yo, but at the end, something magical is gonna happen.
Yeah. This is what we're talking about, kind of like the Mr. Beast formula of like in that first 30 seconds of the video, you want to get across like what is happening in the video, why you're doing it, and like what the result will be if you complete said challenge or task or something like that.
Yeah, and about that, it's like important to do that as fast as you can, because don't start doing intros of like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like, hey guys, how's it going? Like, this is what I've been up to. Sorry I haven't uploaded. And then finally you get to the content.
No,
like,
do
just
that.
jump in.
Never apologize for not uploading, by the way.
I did that way too many times.
Never do it. Also, don't make promises.
Yes.
Please don't do it. I've made so many promises, like, oh, guys, I have this new series going on, and they're like, too late, no, I'm not doing that.
If this video gets 10 million likes, I'm gonna make this video.
Got 10 million? Yeah. No, I wouldn't make any video for 10 million likes, so I can make that promise.
Okay, yeah.
Guys, if this podcast gets like 10 million likes, I will donate 1 million cubes to school.
But yeah, no, I definitely like have fallen victim to that trap many times of being like, oh yeah, this is like a video I could definitely make, and then I say like, oh yeah, I'll make this video in a video and then upload it, and then people tell me, like, ask me like months later, like, hey man, you never made that video. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah. I think it's also important, like, when you're creating videos, to not try to do too much in one video.
Yeah.
Like, you should focus on something, because it's really easy, especially in the beginning, to like get sidetracked and start doing, like, you start this idea like, oh, maybe I could also do this and also this and also this, and then suddenly you're watching a video and it's like kind of confusing, wait, what's actually happening?
Like you're saying, you want to think about the storytelling. You don't want there to be plot holes. You don't want there to be story threads that are just left unresolved. You kind of want it to be a nice linear narrative throughout the whole video.
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep people's engagement.
Yeah, and I think like important for people to know is that being good at doing this just takes a lot of time. And it's like when you're starting out, don't focus on the views yet. Don't focus on like, how can I grow my channel too much? Don't focus too much on like, how can I be famous or like get a viral video? Because like the first thing you should focus on when starting a channel is like, how am I gonna become good at creating videos? How can I create good content? How can I learn as much as I'm able to in a short amount of time?
Yeah, and I think ultimately you should do it for the love of making content, of like storytelling and editing, filming stuff. Like it should be something you genuinely.
There should be a reason why you're doing your channel. Because I said before, like the reason I started my channel was because I tried a lot of studies. Like I started doing medicine, then civil engineering, then software engineering.
Yeah.
I came back from studying for Apple, and I was 21 years old, and I was like, you know, people expected me to find a job quickly as a software engineer, which I said I was doing.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I wasn't. Because I had the idea.
Rubik's cubes.
Yeah. I had the idea that, you know, I'm 21 years old. If I want to do something crazy, I probably want to do it now and not wait till I'm 30 or like having any regrets. So I said to myself, like, what is the thing that I would most want to do out of anything that is possible? And that thing was, you know, I had like a really big interest in cubing. I've been cubing for like a few years then, and I thought it was so unique, and so I had so much fun with it. It really aligned to my values of like what I enjoy doing. And I also have been watching YouTube my entire life, and I said to myself so many times, like, oh, I want to make a YouTube channel. So I was like, you know, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I was looking around, and part of the reason that I started my channel was because I started seeing some growth. I started seeing some success. JPerm was definitely one of the reasons that I did start my channel. Thank you, Dylan, if you're watching. When I did start, I kind of told myself, like, this is going to be my job, which I didn't tell anyone, obviously, because you look like an idiot if you say that.
I also had the same thought, even like as a 9-year-old, like in the back of my head, I was thinking like, I would like love this to be like the thing I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my conception of that was so wildly different. I wasn't really thinking about money because like no one was making money on YouTube back then.
I don't.
You know what I mean? But it was still definitely a thing of like, I want to do this long term.
It's not,
you know what I mean?
because it's funny, because if you talk about like making something your job, it is about the money.
Yeah.
But then again, it's not, because like it's mostly about like your job is like how you spend your time in life, and it's mostly about the fact that I want to spend my time doing something I love doing, and that's why it becomes like easily misinterpreted. Like,
yeah, well, that's the problem. When money gets involved, a lot of times for a lot of things, it can just suck the fun right out of it. When you realize like, okay, I need to do this thing in order to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Then it's like very quickly can turn something that you love and are very passionate about into something that you can't stand doing. And that's when you burn out, and that's when you just stop. And it's dangerous.
Yeah,
you know?
I think like the only way to enjoy YouTube full time is to make too much.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to worry about the income, because you know, at least have some savings. I have something else.
That's pretty hard to do, to make too much money.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like, I'm just talking about like the fact that you need more than what you need to just be living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just like, if you make what a normal job makes out of YouTube, you're like gonna be super stressed. Like, it's, you know,
'cause that can just disappear.
That can disappear, because you have control over like what you create, but you don't have control over like whether people are gonna keep returning. So you have to get you actually do have to get to that point where it's like, if I lose like half of the viewers this month, I won't be out of food.
Yeah.
You know. And also it's about responsibility, because like I've talked to Tingman before, and he has huge success right now, but he's really struggling with the idea that, you know, if I become like a full-time YouTuber, I have family to feed.
Yeah.
And it's like, then they are reliant on my success as well. And that is just responsibility. And if you're younger, like when I was 21 years old, it's like I had no responsibility to no one but myself. And it's like, you know, if I can support myself, that's great. And I can just focus on that. And I can also deal with the fact that if it doesn't work out, I'll just do something else. But your family can, you know. And that's about responsibility.
Yeah, definitely don't. I'm just gonna start a YouTube channel and then quit your job. You know what I mean? Like before you've even like learned how to make content. Like, be smart about it. That's basically what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, it's like, it's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of frustration. But that's the whole point of it. Like, the only way you really enjoy being a content creator is that you put a lot of work into your videos.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but you're not going to know if you like doing the work until you try it.
Exactly, because a lot of people think they might enjoy it, but guys, first make a video, really spend a lot of time in, really go for like, I want this video to be like 90% great, because like 100% is just impossible.
Yeah.
And then tell yourself like, do I enjoy doing this or not? Because sometimes it's difficult to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, if you do spend 20 hours plus on a video and it does well, that's like the biggest satisfaction you can get.
Yeah, I think it's just very important to really just be intentional with the content you're making. Like, don't just go through the motions and like just do a kind of generic video. Like, if you really want to see if this is something that you're cut out for, it's something you want to do, like really make an effort to make like as highly produced of a video as you can. Go through those steps and see if you like it.
Because that's like the way actually to get better at YouTube. The fastest way is to actually like push yourself every time. Because I said this before, but like I think the biggest part of the success I had was that every video I made, I wanted to be better than the last one. And I really...
It's not sustainable forever, but like for as much as you possibly can, push yourself to try new things and keep improving. Yeah.
In the beginning, you want to push yourself to make it as good as you can, like go for the 90%, as I said. But eventually, like as I'm doing right now, I go for 80% good, because like the last percentages of like making video better is like diminishing returns. It just
that curve, yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes like, it's probably not worth it to make your videos perfect, because that just takes up so much time and you will just get burned out. But
yeah, and at that point, with that last 10%, pretty much the only person who's going to notice those differences is yourself.
You notice all your mistakes, right? But people usually don't.
Yeah.
That's like one of the reasons when you edit like a full video, and whenever I upload a video, it's like every single video, I hate the video. I really don't want to look at it anymore. I'm just like so done going over everything again and again and again that I'm just like, you know, this will do. I'm just uploading it. I don't want to watch it. But then the comments start flowing in. They like the video, which I'm like, oh, that's great. And then a few weeks later, I would rewatch the video and actually think, wait, this is actually a really good video.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like for me, most of the time when I'm editing, I feel like the video is just total crap until I get to the end. And then usually when I like watch it all the way through, I'm like, okay, I think this is gonna be okay. Like I'm like a little more confident. I'm like, I think it's gonna be all right, and then I post it. But that can still is like kind of hard sometimes, being like, I don't really like this video, but I'm just gonna post it anyway. You're kind of taking a risk there. People might not like it, but generally it's kind of like, even after 10 years, it still sometimes surprises me when people are like, man, this video is really good, and I'm like, really?
Yeah,
well, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Really,
some videos you like, some videos like you really don't expect to work well, and they do work well, and the other way around as well. Sometimes it does surprise me, because like one of the videos I made was talking about the original Rubik's Cube, why it is like purposefully made bad. The Rubik's branded 3x3s are just like shit, and they're like expensive. I shot that video like a long time ago, but my second camera wasn't recording, or I think I lost the footage with the SD card. So I basically recorded a full video and then decided, wait, I don't have enough. I'm just gonna cancel this video. But then a few weeks later, I started another video which didn't end up working. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna upload again. But I only have like 2 days left this week, or like 3 days, I don't know what it was. And I was like, you know, I still have this footage I had from this old Rubik's Cube I made that I didn't finish. So I faked my second camera. I basically had extra shots of a second camera, and I acted that was just like the footage I had in the beginning. That video got over 1 million views right now, and I never expected that, because I remember like uploading that video and expecting people to comment like, oh, CubeHead has fallen off, it's like this is so bad, like can we get the old CubeHead back? But actually people liked it and it did really well. So sometimes it really surprises us of like what works and what doesn't. Yeah, I think it's important to really just not be too hard on yourself. It's very easy to just think that you're like just terrible at everything you do, but you know. And then again, you have to learn. Like I'm okay not making perfect videos right now, but I know like rewatching videos of even last year or the years before, I know that I'm constantly improving. I'm starting to learn what YouTube is. And I quickly want to touch on that, like what is YouTube actually? And I think like some people have like, especially like when you're creating videos, like what should you focus on? And I think like a big part of YouTube is also not about the quality. And that, for example, like if we're talking about cubing, JPerm is like the ideal example of that.
Yeah.
He still uses, I think he still uses his phone for his videos.
Yeah, yeah.
It shows that he's just like recording himself in his apartment and just being a YouTuber. And I think like in that sense, I think for a lot of videos, production is overrated.
Yeah, it's not the most important thing. Like, I think there's people that get caught up on this idea of like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, but I don't have a good camera. Like, I need all these lights and microphones and equipment.
Your
and
phone
stuff.
does enough.
Yeah, like it's more, I think being genuine and developing a good persona online is more important, I would say.
That is number one. It's like finding like who you really are on camera and like trying to be unique. I think that's like, you don't have to be like 100% unique, but like at least try to do something that's...
Yeah, just... You know, that's the thing though, is that everybody is different and unique, right? So don't like overcomplicate it. You know what I mean?
We make videos about cubing, which maybe is also like kind of important about like for cubing specifically. I would definitely advise that we're already in this niche of like cubing. Don't niche down your niche into like an extra tiny niche, because like right now we have some creators that are able to make a living out of YouTube, but a lot of the income actually comes from the general public watching videos.
Yeah, the community is growing too, but at the same time, like it's important to definitely like make your content in a way that allows it to be viewed by anyone and enjoyed by anyone.
Yeah, I have a really good example of that. I made like a video where I did like the 2x2 Road to World Record series. Rest in peace. So I ended up making my last video after a long time, but by then my channel has grown by so much that I knew that people that would see this upload wouldn't know about like my first videos or wouldn't know anything about 2x2. So I basically went over the simple concepts of what it is to solve a 2x2. I showed them like, oh, there's CLL, then there's EG1, EG2. You make layer first, stuff like that. Because I explained it, because I showed like even people that didn't know anything about cubing, because I actually talked about that, the video did really, really well. I think it's almost at 1 million views or something like that, about a 2x2.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this, like it's important to find a good balance between making your content like not applicable to cubers. Like if a cuber is watching it and it's like too general, they're not going to really be that
then
interested.
you lose a connection, right?
Yeah, like you want to keep that connection with the community, but also like
not only focus on the community.
Yeah, like don't.
And some people see that as a bad thing, because I've seen people commenting on videos, not necessarily my own channel, but that people are getting too generic, like too general, and they're losing sense. But then again, like we also have to think about the idea that if a lot of non-cubers start watching cubing content, a lot of people will become cubers, and eventually the cubing community will grow. So it's actually, it benefits everyone. Yeah.
By making more general content, I think you're doing a good thing and like pulling more people in.
One more thing we should touch on is like shorts, I think.
Yeah.
Because like we cannot not talk about Suptimi, for example, who has almost 2 million subscribers and has only been relevant for like the last year.
That's actually kind of an interesting example, because he's someone that like a lot of cubers that I talk to like don't really know who he is, but he's insanely popular.
And that's because he addresses the general public, right?
But I don't think that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Because I think he's probably gotten a lot of people into cubing, which is important.
Yeah, exactly. We have to focus on that as well.
I think it's just important to know your audience and know what kind of audience you want to have.
Yeah, and I think there's like two things we can learn from. Obviously, there's way more than that, but like two key things is that he addresses the general public, which is like the biggest part of like the potential a channel can have. Because there's like billions of people, and it's like there's only like a couple of 100,000, maybe like 1 million in the cubing community. So, you know, the pie is bigger when you're talking about like the entire world, and he has a huge focus on that. But also he makes new content. Like shorts are only around for not so long.
Yeah.
Everyone was hating on shorts. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
People were like, oh, TikTok is just gonna be on YouTube. This is so bad. In the beginning, I was talking to people as well. Oh, it's so low effort. Those views don't count. Which it's different, but eventually I was like, you know what, if this is what content is gonna be like, at least try to do it my way.
Yeah.
And I made like, if I do say so myself, I really put like a lot of effort into the shorts that I made.
Yeah.
They were like high quality, I would say, and they did extremely well. And I noticed a lot of growth came from that.
I will say though, like making shorts is harder than it looks. Just like with full YouTube videos. Like if you watch Suptimi shorts and think, oh, that's easy, anyone could do that, you're just wrong. Like
he thinks a lot about like what he's doing.
Yeah, like I've talked to him and he is so intentional with every single decision that he makes in every single short. Like every shot that he's doing is like thought out very intentionally. Like it's not just there to be there.
I think it's like, you know, if you make a full YouTube video that you go through the content, not everything is perfect. It's not always like super, you don't do a cut every second. But if you're doing a short, like from the first frame, you just need to make sure like, okay, I have to keep movement in. I even have to like do the entire storytelling in just like 30 seconds, but you still have to do everything.
In the first 30 seconds of a full YouTube video, that should be where you kind of get the point across and get people to understand what you're doing and why they should stay for the whole video.
Yeah.
In a short, you need to grab people's attention in the first 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, because they are just going to keep scrolling. With a YouTube video, they're making a conscious decision to click on the video. So they're already like going to give the video a chance to hold their attention. But when they're just scrolling, if it doesn't immediately grab their attention, they're going to keep scrolling, right? They didn't choose to watch that video.
Yeah.
It just kind of appeared in front of them.
Yeah.
You need to grab their attention right away.
Those engagement curves needs to be so flat for them to blow up. And the only way to do that is to do a lot in a short amount of time. I think that's why shorts work so well, because if you start scrolling and all the ones that are successful, people really thought about so much in 30 seconds that if you like keep scrolling, you always see highly edited, highly thought out content constantly, or like some silly moments, but those are just like golden, right?
Yeah. As with anything, there's a balance, right? You don't want to make these like highly produced, like super hardcore, like just throwing everything at the screen, trying to keep engagement.
Oh yeah, that's just exhausting to watch.
It can get exhausting at a point. There's some channels I've seen where it's just like every second there's just like something else appearing on screen, and it's like, dude, like chill.
Sometimes you just want to chill and just be like, you know, and sometimes it's impossible with content that's just like throws everything at you and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's true. The thing is, like, once you start creating it, you'll start learning what that balance is. But you gotta find it, and you have to know that shorts is a lot of work if you want to do it well. But let's talk finally about like the future of cubing, the cubing content, the cubing community. What do you think will happen?
I think things are gonna continually move towards more of like a Mr. Beast format for videos, where instead of people just doing kind of generic, like, let's sit down and talk about a cube. I mean, some people still do it very well, but they're becoming less and less popular, right? And it's more so like videos have like a very clear plan and structure to them, right? That's going to be more important going forward.
I think there's going to be a lot of highly produced videos out there.
Yeah.
Which definitely reach the general public. But I also think there's going to be new channels that are more of people watching it because they just feel comfortable with the person. Like JPerm has a really strong audience, myself as well, and some people just watch me because for who I am.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a balance of those, and I think the cubing community is open to a lot more full-time creators.
Yeah, I think also more like long form stuff that isn't as edited. There could be a place for that. Like one area that I don't really see ever in the cubing community is like commentary videos, like people talking about topics and like controversies, like just stuff happening in the community.
Maybe it's like this podcast. Maybe we should do more of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, in almost every community, there's like commentary channels that just talk about that community.
I've seen a lot of people try it though, but I've never seen some channel blow up.
But that's the thing, like you can't just be like, oh, here's what's going on. Like you gotta have something to say about it.
You have to have like some creative way or some like exciting way to bring stuff as well, or like really interesting.
Yeah.
Generally, I think the cubing community will just grow a lot, and I don't think we're actually ready to see the growth that's coming. I remember like when I started my channel, I never thought it was possible to reach the growth that I have right now. Because when I started, I thought, you know, maybe it's possible to make like a full-time job. Now I notice that there's way more possible than I ever expected, which is really, really exciting. First of all, one channel I really want to shout out is He's a Cuber. He's been making awesome YouTube videos. He's like, the way he brings stuff, the way he edits, the way he does storytelling is so good. Like sometimes I think his videos are even better than mine. He hasn't seen a lot of success yet, but like 2 videos ago, he uploaded a video where he went to like his first cubing competition. He got like national record. He got like over 100,000 views by now.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the channels that I really hope that will blow up, and I think it will. But it's also really exciting for you guys watching that if you ever think about creating a YouTube channel, it's never too late. Like, I don't think it ever will be. YouTube is gonna be around for a long time. The cubing community can definitely use more channels.
Yep.
You're definitely gonna spend a lot of time, a lot of frustration, but it's gonna be worth it eventually. Don't stop.
Just definitely keep that in mind for everyone watching. Like, there's still so much untapped potential in the content creation scene. Like, there's still so much room for a lot of people to...
I always said to myself, I wished I started earlier, but honestly, it doesn't really matter when you start. Just get started. And
yeah. And now, I mean, the community is the biggest it's ever been. YouTube is the biggest it's ever been. Like, there's so much potential now, you know?
I think there's definitely going to be some people watching this out of an interest of cubing content creation that might actually be like one of the next big guys.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting to be saying right now. And yeah, I would love to hear from you guys watching right now. Like, if you have any insights, if you appreciate our thoughts and ideas, if you have anything to add to that, because we could be talking like this for like 10 more hours. It's so easy.
Yeah.
We recorded this a second time. It was just as easy as the first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. Is there anything else you want to say?
That's about it. Use code JRCuber.
Yeah, use code JRCuber, guys. Peace.
See ya.